I just want to say this film was incredibly inspiring and so beautiful to watch. My question for you is, what made you want to tell this story?
I love your background, by the way.
Thank you.
I mean, Jose's story is just so moving, inspiring, exceptional, amazing by itself that I obviously wanted to work around it, to be near that whole feeling that it provoked the first time I knew about it. I also wanted to do something that brought justice to the Mexican American community. And I wanted to praise, migrant farm workers who put food on everyone's tables every day. So it was a bunch of things that drew my attention and that made sense to me.
Well, I think that all came across beautifully. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Hi, hola Alejandra. Congratulations for the movie. I really love it. So it's a powerful movie for all the families, especially for the Mexicans. So tell me, how was the process to select the name of the movie?
When I actually came into the project, the film had its title, so I didn't select it, but I was it. I mean, it made total sense to me, so I wouldn't even fight the idea of having that title. I think it's perfect. It refers to distance, the distance that can that it's a metaphor about how far away Jose was from his dream, but also it has to do with the distance that a rocket has to record.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, hi. It's nice to meet you. I thought I was taking my son to like a astronaut movie because he loves space, but then it turned out to be like this beautiful love story. I'm bawling my eyes out, family love, romantic love, And so I was wondering, like, is love an important theme to you?
It is. I mean, in every form that it has, I think romantic love was an important thing in this movie. I guess. I mean, because love is important, but also because you don't get to see many love stories in the Mexican American world or in the depiction of that world. So to me, that was having those little details about her family, him going, the first date. So that was an important portrayal that I want to do.
I loved it. I felt like I was there a little bit, and it, yeah, it was
Perfecto.
beautiful.
Thank you. This is a compliment.
Hi, Alexandra. Alejandra, excuse me. Soy un poquito nervioso. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. Like I told Jose, I'm excited that this is coming out at the beginning of Hispanic Heritage Month. I think it's a great film for everybody to watch. The one question that I did have is like when you had the script in front of you and you were planning out your shooting days, what was the one scene that you were like really excited to shoot, but also wanted to make sure that you got it right for to be released or for people to watch?
I'd say that most scenes in this film hit that case. I think everything was such a big challenge that I could say that about tens of scenes in the film. But maybe the T-38 is the biggest. I think the T-38 was a big one for me.
Thank you. Gracias.
De nada.
Hi, Alejandra. Thank you for taking time to speak with us today. I was telling Jose, I really loved the movie. It was emotional. It was inspiring. It was wonderful. I love the community feel, all of it. It was like, you said it wasn't just a movie about astronauts. It was a movie about community. But with the astronaut thing, I have to say that training sequence, that kind of gave me anxiety, especially when they were trapped under the water. What was it like filming that? Did you guys get to actually go to like a NASA facility to work on that? Or was that all just like built on a set somewhere?
No, we built the set. We shot the whole film in Mexico, around Mexico City or in Mexico City, and we went to this humongous pool in Mexico City, and we recreated the whole training, which was more than challenging because we had to actually have people who could, arrange that stunt and actually do that stunt as they would do in a military facility, as a very sophisticated piece of training. So we spent a lot of time thinking about how to do it, and it was fun and challenging and long.
I believe it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. So when we spoke with Jose, he talked a little bit about how some of the actors reached out to the family and they did Zoom calls and whatnot to kind of get to know a little bit more about the people that they were portraying in the film. And I'm wondering if you were involved in that process at all, or if you had any input and what that was like.
Well, Michael was in the project because it's unimaginable to not have Michael Peña in this film. He's like the biggest Mexican American movie star. But the rest of the cast was a fun activity to choose them, to talk to them, and to see how they play together. I think Rosa Salazar is just the most amazing actress in the world, and she's all light, and when she comes into the film, she lights the film. I think Julio César Cedillo and Verónica Falcón, who play Jose's father and mother, no, they're such talents. Bobby Soto, I mean, I don't know. I was so lucky, and I feel so privileged because it's easy to do your job when you come to set and everything is, ta-da, it's there.
I know it's probably going to be hard to pick one, and maybe just pick a few of your favorites, but what lesson do you really hope that the audience learns through this film?
I hope the audience takes the fact, as I understood Jose's story from the beginning, that it is that because he was a migrant farm worker that he became an astronaut, not otherwise. It's not despite of his origins. It's because of the ethics and the hard work and the resilience that the field taught him, that he had the tools. And as Beto says in the film, who better than a migrant to dare leave this planet?
I loved that line. Beautiful.
Hi again. So I really like the music. Did you speak with Jose regarding, hey, let's do the Tigres del Norte, let's do the Juan Gabriel? How was it? Because I really have a great time listening to music.
I know, it's like a karaoke playlist. I always think of it like it would be a very nice karaoke night. It had to do, Jose had to do with it because he played Jose Alfredo Jiménez, El Hijo del Pueblo, as a wake-up song when he was in the International Space Station. Every astronaut gets to pick one song, and that was the one he picked. So I thought it should be on the film. But then Los Tigres del Norte was actually a pick from Michael Peña, who said, like, that's my dad's favorite song, and I would love to sing that if that's possible. And of course, I think it's important that everyone brings something from their hearts to the film. And if Michael was happy with that, I was super happy with that. I mean, Los Tigres del Norte, amazing. And then, of course, Juan Gabriel and everything else was a natural pick for the timing and the relevance it has in the community.
Thank you.
Gracias.
So I know you probably watched this like a million times over and over, but is there like a part that like that you watch over and over again specifically that you love that you've created?
I love the love scenes. I really enjoy them. I'm like, whenever I'm watching the film again, I can't wait for them to arrive. But I have to say, this is the first time something like this happens. I get emotional every time I watch the film, and I've watched the film hundreds of times. And I think it has to do with something that's within Jose's story. It's not about what I did or my work. I think it has to do with a primal, vibe that Jose's story has in it.
Thank you. I still think I'm still, watched it last night. So thank you. Yeah.
Alejandra, this year we've gotten a lot of, I could say, good biographies about the Hispanic culture. We had Flaming Hot earlier this year. We have A Million Miles Away coming out Friday, and then we have Cassandra also coming out on Friday. Of all these, I mean, there's a lot of stories of our culture that need to be told. Now that you've done this one, are you like eyeing another Hispanic person or woman that you think we should have a movie made of, or like what would be like your next project or dream project if you could just make any movie about our culture right now?
I have written a story about my grandmother's migration. She left San Luis Potosí for Chicago in the 60s. She was chasing my grandfather, who had moved up there and moved on, and so she had to discover a new life with her kids in a new country, and she became like a sort of Cesar Chavez of her block, and she was like a mother for many. And so that's my next. It's not as lightful as Jose's story, but it's, I think, a necessary tale as well.
My family came from Guatemala to Chicago.
Wow.
So Jose was talking about his cameo and how it was something that he was so used to doing. It was just like, riding a horse kind of thing or riding a bike.
Uh-huh.
Was it always the plan to have him cameo in there? And were you undecided about where to put him and then it just kind of fell into place, or how did it come about?
That was it. We knew he had to be on the film somewhere, and we wanted to choose like the perfect cameo for him, because we wanted it to be symbolic, and honor him in a way. So it was a nice thing to have him as a closeout engineer.
Yes.
So obviously, Jose is an astronaut. Michael has played an astronaut more than once before this. How closely did you work with other NASA or technical advisors on sort of the accuracy of those types of behind the scene things, like with the trainings and shuttle launches and that type of thing?
We worked very closely with NASA. Michael and I got to visit NASA and do the artist training, which is a special training they have for actors who are going to play astronauts. We got to speak with a bunch of astronauts and, visit the facilities. So yeah, it was, I think, super important to have that. And we had Jose, a text away. So it was any doubts on the exam, I used to like, Jose, help. How should we do this? What would an astronaut say in this situation? So I was lucky.
Thank you.